there's a lot that we all have to offer, especially through our art. And if anyone wants to come to the City Council meeting on April 16th at 7 p.m., I'll be presenting it, and testimonials are definitely welcome. I know a couple of you have done events with me around raising awareness for conflict-free, so echo chamber always helps, the more people that stand up and do it in ways that are really compassionate and not shaming the town, I think is really important. So yeah, I appreciate your support, and thank you all for coming so much. At this point, I'm going to welcome Clavens, and he's representing 350 Vermont. I believe he has a song to share with us, as well as a couple words.
Yeah, Clavens.
Thank you so much, Lily. I want to say before I begin, Omekondo, that was awesome. I pay attention all the time to how people deliver speeches and get people moved, and that was some good, solid, powerful speech. Really appreciate that. Was definitely taking notes. And I'm here with 350 Vermont. As Lily said, we're here to talk about change making, and I'm really happy that my boy there started talking right at the end about how do you care for yourself when you are taking on these activism challenges, because that's here what I'm going to talk to you about right now. The most difficult part about revolution is that it happens slowly. If you're here because you care and would end the suffering being inflicted on the earth and her people right now if you could. Good. Hang on to that. The pace of normal politics is unacceptable. To watch those with power and money squirm around looking for ways to make tiny, placating changes at best, to shut us up without really giving up their power and money, and simply ignore us and do whatever they want the rest of the time. Remain determined that the world needs nothing less than a massive shift in our hearts and our culture and the social systems that we accept. We live in a system that would have us scapegoat one another based on race, gender, identity, or class, in order to protect a status quo of people and the earth being as close to slaves as they can be made. Remain determined to destroy that and reconnect as one human family. Remain determined for the human family to reconnect with our inhuman family, that is the rest of the earth. But even with that determination, even once we get past the heel dragging of a system that does not want to change and we look within ourselves, we find that revolution comes slow. We are fighting something that has become very large and powerful and old. We cannot defeat it immediately, and we cannot defeat it alone. I've seen many activists give up out of a sense of burnout and hopelessness, finding that even if they give their whole being every day of every week, these problems persist while their own body does not, giving out to exhaustion and misery long before the world has changed. Sometimes we're just miserable because we're tired. The world does not need you to burn out working every day of every week. The world does not need you to burn out working every day of every week. There is this terrible myth in our society that downtime makes you lazy, that any time you spend resting or caring for yourself is time to be ashamed of because you could be working instead. That is a lie. We are animals. We need rest. We need care. What the world does need is people who can be in this effort for the long haul. People who are able to take the time to build relationships and networks and experience with what is going on and become a lasting and well-connected part of this effort. To do this, we need to ask ourselves, without shame, how do I make my efforts sustainable? Another myth in our society is that doing good should hurt. There is this very imperial idea that until you're sacrificing and suffering, how hard are you trying, really? And somehow that sometimes gets piggybacked on to how we think about doing justice work, that we have to beat ourselves down and make ourselves miserable so that we can do enough good that others are finally happy. But what are we embodying when we do that to ourselves? How do we remember and create a world where no one is supposed to slave away and suffer by resigning ourselves to slaving away and suffering? If you dream of a world where people are supported to be kind to themselves, wouldn't the people who love you want the same to apply to you? Trust me, it's the people who hate you that want you to believe you're not supposed to want to care for your needs. The more miserable we are, the more we think some things just have to be the way they are, the less we can imagine changing it, and the less energy we have to reach out and connect with one another, which is where our real power would lie. The empire would tell you there's no difference between self-care and the same vindictive, consuming hunger for power over others that we're standing against. But that hunger actually hates when we care for ourselves because it gives us strength and togetherness. That's why it tries to convince us not to. My point is, ask yourself what you need for activism to feel good. Anything goes. If it's only fun to attend one gathering every week or two while you're dealing with other things before it gets exhausting, great. Your energy levels matter. I guarantee over just a few months of persistence, you'll build way more relationships and community than you thought, and that's how we find power. Also, if you don't enjoy one style of action, remember there are many others. If making phone calls makes you panic but you love art builds, or if you don't enjoy art but love planning and organizing events, or if you don't enjoy planning but love teaching workshops, or if you enjoy holding signs at rallies, or delivering speeches on stage, or working with people one-on-one in quiet settings, or writing news articles and media posts, or no matter what it is that comes the most naturally to you, there is a need for you. You don't have to force yourself into any role that makes you unhappy. No matter what it is you do best, we need you. Yes, it's allowed to be fun. I know that sounds selfish, but it's how we make it so we have the energy and the spirit to carry out these efforts for a long time. When there's an emergency, and when we need people to push a little extra because lives are on the line, we'll let you know, promise. The rest of the time, it's about building a strong, resilient, sustainable culture of revolution. And if you ever feel lost or overwhelmed or unsure about anything, ask for help. You are not a burden. We are so excited to have you here. If our greatest strength was in being alone, we'd be born as jaguars. We are human. We find our best in looking out for one another and letting one another look out for us. You shouldn't have to worry about not feeling like enough. No one should be mad if you ever need a break or need help. We're all just so excited to be in this together. On that note, let's do a song. I made it. Have fun.
Woo!